Welcome to Today of All Days, episode 114.
Cream? Sugar? Today is Fresh Roasted Friday, September 29th, 2017. And today is...
Broadway Musicals Day! Nothing beats a night at the theater, and Broadway is held as the pinnacle of theatrical production.
To celebrate, we are going to cover the top 3 highest-grossing Broadway musicals of all time.
Now, coming in at number 3. This one is my personal favorite, because the Phantom of the Opera is there in number 3. Bringing in $1,117,096,453. This is the longest-running Broadway musical, going strong since 1988. It was only recently overtaken by number 2 on our list. Now, I will say, when it comes to Phantom of the Opera, I'm a little bit of a fanboy, because Andrew Lloyd Webber is a genius. And I love all of his writings, and I think that he's brilliant. And we just found out that there is a new musical coming out, and I believe we're going to see it this November, and I forget what it's called. What was it?
Love Never Dies.
Love Never Dies. The music was written by Lloyd Webber, and it is pretty much a sequel to The Phantom of the Opera. So, maybe we'll have a new number 1. Who knows? Who knows? The future can only tell.
And coming in at number 2, we have Wicked, pulling in $1,134,379,492. And since this musical has only been running since 2003, it has become the quickest musical to hit $1 billion in sales.
I have never had the pleasure of seeing this one, so I think this should be on our next to-go-see list. Let us know if you have seen it. Where does it rank in your top? Is it the top? Let us know in the comment sections below. Now, coming in at number 1, we have The Lion King, bringing in a whopping $1,396,638,949. It may not be the longest running musical, but it's been around since 1997. It hasn't been a surprise success like the relatively new Wicked. However, it is one of the steadiest and most renowned musicals of all time.
Maybe it's because it's the circle of life. And that brings us to...
Today in History. In 1916, American oil tycoon John D. Rockefeller becomes the world's first billionaire.
As kerosene and gasoline became more of a necessity in the U.S., Rockefeller's wealth skyrocketed due to controlling 90% of all oil in the United States. Not sure how he brokered that deal, but good on him.
In 1913, it was estimated that his wealth accounted for 2% of the entire national economy. In today's money, that's about $336 billion. Talk about that wage gap.
And now, we're gonna brew over to...
National Coffee Day! The history of coffee dates back to the 10th century, and possibly earlier, with roots starting in Ethiopia. The first definitive evidence of coffee served as a drink comes from the 15th century Yemen.
Coffee grows best in warm and wet climates between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn in what is known as the Coffee Belt. Many different flavors can be achieved by changing the region, elevation, and drying methods of the beans.
The beans that we get from the grocery store were originally encased in a coffee cherry, a fruit that some animals love to eat. The civet, in particular, loves to eat the cherries and the beans whole, and has created a niche market of itself.
Once the civet eats and digests the coffee, it will poop it out. It is then harvested from the droppings and washed From there, the beans are roasted and bagged for sale. These are some of the most expensive coffee beans on the market, running consumers around $500 per pound. Sometimes even more. Now, to put that into perspective, the average pound of coffee whole bean is about $10. So, whole bean per pound, $500. Phew.
Maria and I are lucky enough to have a friend that lives over where civet cats do live and do eat the coffee beans, and he was not the one that personally harvested them, but he was able to get his hands on some Kopi Luwak, as they call it, for us. And we got to try it. It was probably, a year ago?
Yes.
Maybe a year and a half ago. And, I don't know, what were your thoughts on it?
It was a little bit nutty, but it was also floral. I'm guessing it's because it's digested with the cherry, but it was really nice.
Yeah, I would say that a lot of coffees that you get, most of the Colombian coffees, you'll get that kind of tart taste in the back of your mouth. And I would say that it definitely had that, but it was a little different. It was floral, like she's saying, but it was really smooth.
Yes.
That's what I remember, it did have that tartness to it, but it was a lot smoother than some of the other coffees that I've had in my life.
Yeah, it was almost like having that slight citrusy little tart, but with a little bit of butter to wash it down.
And it didn't taste at all like poop. I've never eaten poop, but I would imagine that it wouldn't taste floral and citrusy.
In general, when it comes to coffee, there are many different brewing methods varying from culture to culture. The bean itself is just as unique as the way that the coffee is brewed.
Some just throw some pre-ground beans into their coffee pot and let it go. But others will use a French press, a vacuum pot, an espresso machine, and many, many other different ways of brewing their coffee. I really do enjoy my vacuum pot. It's brilliant. You can put this either on the stovetop, and it just warms up the bottom. You have the water in here, you have the coffee grounds up here. It boils the water and mixes it with the grounds. And then it pulls that coffee back down to the bottom chamber, and the grounds are left up here. I don't know why it's so smooth, but it's a pretty good cup of coffee.
It is a great cup of coffee. So whether you use a vacuum pot or a French press, or if you just have that automatic timer in the morning, have your coffee the way you like it on this day.
Today of all days.
Today of all days.
And we will see y'all tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.